In a small little village, there was a beautiful garden filled with blooming flowers, towering trees, and lush green grass. This garden belonged to Mary, a cheerful young girl with twinkling eyes and a heart full of love for her best friend, Susie the cat. Susie was a sleek black cat with a tiny white patch on her chest that looked like a heart. She had bright green eyes that sparkled with mischief and a playful spirit that matched Mary's. The two were inseparable, spending their days exploring the garden, playing games, and sharing countless adventures. One sunny morning, Mary woke up with a big smile on her face. She knew it was going to be a special day. She quickly got dressed and ran downstairs to find Susie. As soon as Susie saw Mary, she purred and rubbed against her legs, ready for their morning adventure. "Good morning, Susie. Are you ready to play?" Mary asked, her eyes shining with excitement. Susie meowed and dashed towards the garden, her tail flicking with anticipation. Mary laughed and followed her, eager to start their day of fun. The garden was a magical place for Mary and Susie. It was filled with hidden nooks and crannies, perfect for hide and seek. There were trees to climb, butterflies to chase, and flowers to smell. Mary and Susie had their own secret spots and special games that made their time together even more delightful. Today, Mary decided they would play a game of tag. "You're it, Susie," she called out, tapping Susie gently on the back. Susie's eyes widened with playful determination. She darted off, her paws barely touching the ground. Mary giggled and chased after her, her laughter ringing through the garden. Susie was quick, but Mary was just as fast, and soon they were both running and weaving through the garden in a joyous blur of motion. They took turns being it, and each time Susie was tagged, she would leap and bound with such grace and speed that Mary could hardly keep up. They played until they were both panting and had to take a break under the shade of a large oak tree. As they rested, Mary pulled out a small ball from her pocket. It was Susie's favorite toy. She rolled it gently across the grass, and Susie's eyes lit up with excitement. She pounced on the ball, batting it back to Mary with her paws. They continued this game for a while, the ball bouncing back and forth between them. After a while, they decided to explore a part of the garden they hadn't visited in a while. Mary led the way, with Susie trotting beside her. They came across a patch of wildflowers, where butterflies fluttered around lazily. Susie's eyes followed the butterflies with intense curiosity. She crouched down low, wiggling her bottom as she prepared to pounce. Mary watched with amusement as Susie sprang into the air, trying to catch a butterfly. The butterfly easily evaded Susie's playful paws, and Susie landed gracefully back on the ground, looking slightly bewildered but very pleased with herself. Mary clapped her hands and cheered. "Good try, Susie! You almost had it!" Susie meowed proudly and sat down, licking her paw with satisfaction. Mary joined her, lying back on the soft grass and looking up at the blue sky. She felt so happy and content, with her best friend by her side and the warm sun shining down on them. "Susie, I love playing with you," Mary said softly, reaching out to stroke Susie's fur. Susie purred in response, nuzzling Mary's hand. They stayed like that for a while, enjoying the peacefulness of the garden and each other's company. Just then, Mary had an idea. "Let's build a fort!" she exclaimed, jumping up with excitement. Susie tilted her head, curious about this new game. Mary gathered some fallen branches, leaves, and flowers. She found an old blanket from the garden shed and draped it over the branches, creating a cozy little hideout. Susie watched with interest, occasionally batting at the blanket or chasing after a leaf that fluttered by. When the fort was finished, Mary crawled inside and invited Susie to join her. Susie eagerly followed, and the two of them snuggled up together in their little hideout. Mary had brought a book with her, and she started to read aloud, her voice soft and melodic. Susie listened attentively, her green eyes wide, and her ears perked up. They spent the rest of the afternoon in their fort, reading stories and sharing secrets. Mary felt so lucky to have Susie as her best friend. They understood each other perfectly and their bond was unbreakable. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the garden, Mary and Susie emerged from their fort. They watched the sky turn shades of pink and orange, the colors reflecting in Susie's eyes. Mary sighed contentedly. "Today was the best day ever," she said, hugging Susie tightly. Susie purred and rubbed her head against Mary's cheek, agreeing wholeheartedly. They stood there for a while, watching the sky until the first stars appeared. With the day coming to an end, Mary and Susie made their way back to the house. Mary gave Susie one last hug before they went inside. "Good night, Susie. I'll see you in the morning for another adventure." Susie meowed softly, and they both went to their cozy beds, dreaming of the wonderful day they had shared, and the many more adventures that awaited them in their magical garden. And so, Mary and Susie lived happily, cherishing each moment they spent together in their beloved garden, where every day was filled with love, laughter, and the joy of true friendship.